As we get to the normal session with our keynote speaker. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm just going to introduce a topic that for the afternoon session is just addressing peripherality and from an Irish perspective. So we are, as you can see from these maps, an island surrounded by water, and our hinterland connections, I don't know if you can see them there. Our main core ports are Dublin and Cork and Shannon Foynes on the western seaboard. And then we have comprehensive ports of Waterford and on the eastern seaboard and Rosslare on the eastern seaboard. So our core network, the core network for Ireland goes down along our east coast and goes along to our west coast to Shannon Foynes. So our core ports are Dublin, Cork and Shannon Foynes, and our comprehensive are Waterford and Rosslare. And we are a small member state on the western seaboard of Europe with an export-orientated economy with growing needs for both capacity within the ports and connections to the markets of Europe and beyond. Our main exports would be in the food area and also IT and pharmaceuticals. So increasing the capacity and connectivity of our ports is very important. And Motors of the Sea offers opportunities to increase connectivity in a sustainable, efficient, effective and hopefully future-proof way. Core ports in Ireland have received some Connecting Europe facility money, and but there are still gaps regarding our core and comprehensive port capacity and connectivity. So Motors of the Sea offers part of the solution for the customers of these ports. We have two small Motors of the Sea projects presently. Mona Lisa, which is an SDM validation, and we are part of a consortium. And an Irish organisation is also involved with Brittany Ferries in a project involving environmentally friendly vessels. So more organisations in Ireland need to become members, need to become involved with Motors of the Sea, and we are trying to encourage this as a ministry. Motors of the Sea in Ireland is critical. Our cross-border missing link is the actual water. So increasing Motors of the Sea will offer us an opportunity to improve our connectivity to Europe and also to the rest of the world. And this will help Ireland export goods and will provide opportunities for European and other organisations to export goods to Ireland. So we think developing Motors of the Sea is a win-win for us, but we do need to address the peripherality of Ireland, and the road and rail and networks of Europe are relevant in terms of our hinterland connection to the ports, but to us, the sea is the biggest barrier, and this connectivity is essential for us. So we would ask that peripheral regions of the European Union are not forgotten when it comes to Connecting Europe facility and Motors of the Sea. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. Have a safe journey and a pleasant flight. I'm very honored to invite now to the podium Mr. Tomas AVILA. Tomas, I normally see Tomas in a very sharp suit and a tie, but he has not got his luggage yet, therefore you see him in a very relaxed clothing. Tomas is by profession a lawyer, and he has been, by education and profession, has been a lawyer. He has extensive knowledge of shipping law, with more than 20 years of involvement in broad range of ship finance, ship registry, cross-border transactions, and his experience and practice also covers the admiralty law and commercial law, company law, and general law. Today he is here in his position as the Secretary General of the Panama Maritime Authorities, and we are very delighted to have you here, Tomas. Could I please ask you to give the keynote talk for this session? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Irene, for those kind words. Good morning, everyone. Buongiorno. That's the only thing I know how to say in Italian. And I do know how to say one nasty word in Italian, all'Italia. Today, I've been asked to participate and with what our knowledge is of this matter. And I want to talk to you about a development of short sea shipping initiative in Mesoamerica. Now, I apologize to Jose Anselmo first because in Central America, we are still talking about short sea shipping, transporte marítimo de corta distancia, as opposed to motorway of the seas, autopistas del mar. Hopefully one day we'll get there. But inspired on developments here in Europe, we've been, there we go. We've been discussing for the last couple of years the issue of short sea shipping for Mesoamerica. Now, for those of you who might not understand what Mesoamerica is the countries of Central America, plus Mexico, plus the Republic of Colombia, and the Dominican Republic. So that adds up to 10 countries. Well, it started, let me see if I'm putting this thing correctly. Yeah, I got it. Okay. The Triple S initiative begins with the Mesoamerica project, which was back in 2008 called the Puebla-Panama Plan. It was brought up by President Vicente Fox of Mexico. The idea was to increase the commerce between Mexico all the way down to Panama. So the Triple S initiative has been an order of the Presidential Summit of 2008, and it's been handled by us, the Maritime Authority of Panama, by COCATRAM, the Central American Maritime Transport Committee, and it's been financed by the Inter-American Development Bank. So it started in 2008 with the WiderMoS Summit, that's in Mexico, and there was one clear mandate from the presidents of the and chiefs of state that a short sea shipping initiative be initiated so that we can increase our commerce between our countries. That, of course, was then brought up in the 2009 summit. It seems like they have a lot of things to do, so they meet once a year. And finally, at the end of 2009, we get the mandate, the presidents of the region give the mandate to the Maritime Authority of Panama to develop the project. We have one consultancy with a company from Chile called Inecon for $1 million and $250,000 that Panama put from their pocket, from our pocket. And the Panama Canal was involved. The Panama Maritime Authority, the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Panama Maritime Chamber, I'm sorry, and COCATRAM. The studies, the results came in 2013, not to be surprised by things, how they happen in Latin America. And in the year 2014, most of the countries had elections. So new governments came into place in 2014, slowing down the process and then picking it up again. So in 2015, beginning this year, we did a public-private consensus workshop in each of the 10 countries. The team that did this work did it in 5 weeks. I visited half of the countries with them. I could not do it all. I have other responsibilities as the Secretary General of the authority. And what we're doing now is that we're working on the regional plan to implement the SSS. Now, other institutions have become involved and interested. For instance, the USAID. Now, their interest is because they have seen that what our project may be doing for the environment is retiring a lot of the trucks that are polluting Central America and the mountain range from Central America. And so they're now getting involved and putting some funding into it. So let's see how that's going to end. Okay, when we selected the consultants, we looked at 30 different companies. But the Inter-American Development Bank, for instance, does not allow, say, 6 companies from Spain or 10 from the US. It only allows 2 companies per country, which limited us to a number of 6 only, and that's how we came up with the Chileans. Not that they did a bad job, I'm not complaining. And this is what we were looking for. We want to achieve greater commercial integration, reduce time, cost, and improve the security in the transport of goods. Now, I imagine that while I'm talking and you're looking at this, you're saying, well, why is he here? We already did this, and we're already successful. Well, it's good to always look back and see what you have done and achieved. And it's always good to know that other people want to do what you have done. We're thinking about new jobs. We want to increase cargo volume and its efficient handling. Like, for instance, my suitcase. We want to promote the commercial exchange of goods in the region. And this is why originally the studies did not include transshipment. And when we went to look at the studies, Panama was the least of the important countries in the study because Panama is not a producer. Panama is an importer-exporter. What we do is transship. And if we had put that in the formula, that would have been a little bit of cheating because we do the transshipment and we've been doing it for years. And the process is there. Now, what's not happening is that we do not have dedicated short sea shipping services. We do not have dedicated ports. And the companies that are carrying them, like King Ocean or Express Feeders, have bigger vessels than the ones that the consultants are recommending. There are 49 ports included in the study. We asked each country to include those that they thought that were important. In Panama, we included 11. At that time, we did not have 11 important ports. Today we do, so we had a vision, for instance. Mexico, on the other side, they ran short. Mexico only included 8. And when I went to visit them earlier this year, they had a presidential mandate that they had to develop the areas of the area of Chiapas. And that means including more ports than the ones that are in the list. Okay. The main focus of the study is on cargo transportation based on volume movement of principal or main products between the countries of Mesoamerica. The analysis was exclusively on container cargo, which is transferred between different modes. But there are countries considering also to move bulk cargo together with boxes. Now, this is Mesoamerica and the 49 ports. The idea, of course, is to, I think you all listen to me, the idea is to be able to move cargo from Lázaro Cárdenas. Okay.
You mess it up.
I'm messing up. Okay, the idea is to move cargo from Lázaro Cárdenas all the way down to Balboa or Buenaventura in Colombia and back. The problem is that at this time, the Mexicans, for instance, who are the largest producers, followed by Guatemala, they got cargo all the way up to here. They don't have cargo northbound. So that's going to affect the cost of the rates, right? So the consultants have said that we need to use a vessel that has its own cranes between 400 and 600 TEU because most of these ports do not have cranes. So in order for them to be included, the vessel has to be self-sufficient. Now, they have said that we should do this in the Pacific first and then try and do it on the Caribbean side. Now, the Mexicans and the Colombians, they want to do the Caribbean side first because they have more interest in moving cargo in the Caribbean. As some of you might know, what happens in the Caribbean is that most of the cargo leaves Fort Lauderdale, Florida, southbound. I think it's King Ocean as well. Those are the big. That's the big company in these trades. And they come all the way down to the Leeward Islands, and when they go back north, they go empty. That's why their rates are double. Now, what the people in Colombia and Mexico and the Dominican Republic are saying is, we have cargo. We can feed all the Caribbean, and we don't have this problem. But we're doing it step by step. We do not want to be, we do not want to start a great project and then not end up in anything. This is the distance between ports in Central America. Our biggest challenge, of course, is that the trucks can deliver door to door in the same time. Why? The truck movement in Central America, because of customs, I don't know how customs works in Europe, but customs is the big stone in the shoe of every country in Central America, is an astonishing 18 kilometers per hour, because that's how delayed they are when they reach each border. We could do it by sea. It's only natural. You can see the map. But the problem is that we don't have a dedicated service. And once we reach a port, we'll still need a truck to move that cargo to the delivery place. So that's our biggest challenge right now. And cargo unions, the truck unions in Central America are very strong and very political. So they have to be handled by care. So when I talk to them, what I tell them is that you're not going to have your truck going from Costa Rica to Honduras every 3 days and you don't know where your truck is. You're going to have your truck going from Pacific side Costa Rica to Atlantic side Costa Rica, and your truck driver is going to sleep in his house every day, and you're going to know where your truck is, because the cargo will be moved laterally by them, but through the sea. Okay. Just to summarize, we divided the groups when we have gone to the consensus, the workshops. We divided the groups into owners of cargo, shipping lines, ports, road transportation, and government institutions. Yeah, those are our two newest prides for the Panama fleet. The MSC Oliver and the Oscar, the biggest ships in the world, both registered in Panama. I want to go right through this, not take much of your time. This is what we are right now. We're identifying the possible shipping lines. We want each country to understand what the SSS characteristics are, so we have a harmonized system, and we're working on a communications plan. The team, TIM, Transporte Internacional de Mercaderías, it's a plan that has been developed in between Honduras and Guatemala. They have harmonized customs forms and systems so that in a matter of hours and not days, the cargo may go from one country to another. And we want to use this same system for the ships. And this is, of course, a triangle that we're working on, and that we need everybody in our area of the world to be on board, so that this becomes a plan, you know, an ongoing. This goes from an ongoing plan to a reality. And instead of bringing you knowledge, what I really want to do, and I've been trying to hear and listen and understand, is what you have to offer. So this is how to contact me if you need any information from what we're doing. And hopefully we'll get in touch with many of you if you're interested. Obviously, if we have an integration in Mesoamerica, when you extend your motorway of the seas out of the peripheral areas into other parts of the world, we will be ready for you. Thank you.
Fantastic presentation, Thomas. Thank you very much. I think that you saw that the Mesoamerica, the study was done by on the ports and countries, shows that Panama is offering an ideal environment for developing motorways of the sea. Of course, there are challenges like the road lobbyists and the policies, etc. Our next speaker is Hermann AMSZ. Hermann is coming from US, and he is the chairman and CEO of Omnitrans, and this is a company which provides 3PL intelligent logistics solutions and for local services of handling of all the aspects of the transportation, documentation, warehousing, insurance, customs clearance, etc. Hermann is going to talk to us about the Port of New York. Also, he's going to mention a little bit about the Jones Act, which is the policy which is actually one of the barriers in the developing the ongoing advancements. Thank you very much, Hermann.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Buongiorno. I'd like to first talk a little bit about the traffic between La Spezia and New York. As you can see, the total from La Spezia to New York is 52,000 TEUs, and if you go the other way, it's 1,600. So I think we have to develop a little bit more traffic from here to La Spezia. I mean, from New York to La Spezia, and possibly the new TTIP might help to develop that, and so we hope, at least. The Port of New York is administered by the two states, New Jersey and New York, because in New York they don't have enough space for the containers. This will show you a little bit the range of distance from New York to the Midwest and to the Southeast. Here you will see the various railroads, the CSX, Norfolk Southern, Canadian Pacific, etc. I remember about 50 years ago, there were maybe 50 different, or possibly even more, private railroads, and that shrank considerably because there were too many small railroads that were closed, and mergers, etc. The CSX consists of the New York Central and the Penn Central and Pennsylvania Railroad merged with the New York Central. So what is left now is a big corporation, CSX. This shows a little bit more about the port area in New York and the various rail connections. The next picture shows about the FTC advantages. FTC meaning free trade zone. You have deferral or reduction or elimination of certain duties, reduced merchandising, processing fees, exemption from inventory tax, simplification of procedures, improved inventory and quality control, enhanced security measures, and waived customs duties. This is very interesting. As you can see, 29.7% of the trading is with China. Italy has a respectable place there with 4.25%, 6.12% India, and the rest, as you can see, is relatively small. The next picture shows us the top North American ports. Los Angeles, with 8.3 million, is by far the largest port. Right next to it is Long Beach, with 6.8 million, and New York is in third place with 5.8 million. The Port of New York and New Jersey Authority is budgeting $1.3 billion in 2015, 271 million for clearance of roadway, and the roadway is raised on the Bayonne Bridge, because otherwise the new super carriers won't be able to go through the bridge. After the raising of the bridge and the dredging of the channel, they will be able to accommodate 14,000 TEU ships. The project is targeted for completion in 2016. As you can see, they will deepen the harbor channel to 50 feet. They can't go too much further down because there's a water connection, waterway between Manhattan and Staten Island, and that prevents them from going any deeper. This is my interpretation of chairman of the board. I couldn't help it. I was walking on the beach in Sonora Bay, Mexico, and I saw a surfboard and a chair. And I said, I gotta have a picture of that. So here you have the chairman of the board. Now there will be no more pictures. I'll be just talking extemporaneously. I want to talk a little bit about the Jones Act. I love what Federica did with WiderMoS, and I think it's fitting that we are near the Golfo de Poeti. I think I consider WiderMoS like a poem, and Federica the poet. And while we're talking about Federica, there's another Federica I would like to mention, because I was really amazed to see Federica Brignoni from the Italian women's ski team win the giant slalom last Saturday in Sölden, Tyrol, Austria. And unfortunately, she beat our Michaela Schifrin, who is only second. But you have a very good ski team on the Italian women team. Furthermore, I'd like to talk about quickly about the Jones Act. We would love to do what you're doing with short sea shipping, but we have a law on the books in the United States for more than 70 years, and that prohibits transport of goods or passengers from one US port to another US port with non-US flag vessels. You can only go with US flag vessels. Unfortunately, we don't have any of those, or very few, or very small ones. Most of them are used in supplying the islands of Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Guam, and some other offshore islands like the Virgin Islands. I hope somebody will work on this and get the Jones Act one day eliminated. But as the French say, if you want to make an omelette, you have to break some eggs. And it will take a long time, I think, until we can ship freely. In fact, I had a large traffic from Louisiana going to Montreal, and I tried to ship this by sea, and I was told it's a violation of the Jones Act. I said, come on. As last time I looked, Montreal was in Canada, not the US, so it took a little arm twisting until I got finally a booking for a few hundred containers going up there. One thing I just wanted to mention also, there's a kind of a short sea shipping, but it's a deep sea short sea shipping. If you want to ship something, for instance, to Chicago, you go from China, you go from Shanghai or Hong Kong to the port of Prince Rupert in northern British Columbia. And since the globe is so much smaller way north, you save exactly 2 days in crossing the Pacific from Shanghai to Prince Rupert versus Shanghai, Los Angeles. And then from Prince Rupert you have a dedicated container train that goes to Chicago, and from there you can make the distribution. And a further thing is, as you might know, there's in the US Customs regulation a fee that they call the harbor maintenance fee, which is 0.125%. Doesn't sound a lot, but on $100,000 it's $125. If you have a very high value cargo, you save this harbor maintenance fee if you go through a Canadian port into the US. One last thing is in my business as freight forwarder, I usually don't take no for an answer. And I had a situation once in Salt Lake City where I sent in a trucker to pick up a container, and he got refused 3 times. After that, I lost it. I picked up the phone, I called my stockbroker, said, buy me 1,000 shares of UNP, Union Pacific Railroad, and give me the name of the chairman of the board and the phone number. And then I called up and said, I'm sorry, I'm not only a shareholder, but I'm also a customer, and I don't like the way our company works in Salt Lake City. It didn't take more than half an hour, and I got phone calls from 3 vice presidents of the railroad, and I got my container.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Hermann. In fact, deep sea, short sea is called motorways of the sea, by the way. Our next speaker is Paula MESQUITA. Paula is the president of Magellan Association. It's a Portuguese association with head office in Brussels, and she has links to Brazil, and she has been working on a research project on enlarging the WiderMoS to Brazil called WiderMoS. And she's going to tell us a little bit about the findings of this study. She's going to be talking from where she's sitting. She's in a hurry to catch the taxi to go to the airport, so with any further delay, please go ahead. You need to have a, do you want me to change things for me, for you? I
can do it.
Oh, you can. Thank you.
So, good morning. First, I would like to congratulate the Port of La Spezia for the organization of this great conference. Also, I thank the Port for inviting Magellan to conduct the study I will now present you. With this presentation, we propose the first step to the expansion of WiderMoS project to Brazil. My aim is to, at the end of this presentation, have you convinced that Brazil is a winner, but at least that we should not miss the opportunity to take it into considerations. WiderMoS is a project based on the concept of motorways of the sea. Thinking of WiderMoS in Brazil, one should first focus on the concept of motorways of the sea in Brazil, let's call BRASMOS. Well, Brazil doesn't have a good intermodal system. Therefore, the adaptation of the European concept of MoS requires the introduction of new logistics chains, intermodal and maritime, requiring a structural change in the organization of transport. So, let's first take a look at the intermodal issues within the Brazil transport sector, and later, with some information about the interfaces operating in Brazil, we'll come back to the analysis of the possibility of expanding WiderMoS to Brazil. To introduce you to the Brazilian transport system, I'll talk about road, railway, inland, and maritime transport. Even though road transport has the largest share in terms of transport distribution, as we can see from the map, is the map of road, yes, assuring Brazil's door-to-door services, it faces many problems such as traffic congestion, thank you very much, poor infrastructure, safety, and environment risks. With BRASMOS, we would aim to reduce the overload of road transport, as MoS intends to do in Europe. Railway is seen as a good high-capacity transport for a long distance in Brazil, but it still lacks big investments. It covers only the coastal line. There are still many obstacles to its development, namely by the acquisition of equipment, access to financial resources, and less bureaucracy. Inland navigation has a high potential in Brazil, thought it doesn't have a considerable weight in national transport system. Several barriers were identified, such as excessive regulation, lack of infrastructure, or even the gap between international regulation and local specifications. With the introduction of BRASMOS view, this should become a main focus of attention. Finally, I will talk about the maritime transport. The maritime sector has a strategic importance for the economy of the country. In 2013, the maritime ports handle over 90% of export and imports. Maritime transport is divided in 4 types of navigation: long-haul, short-sea shipping, maritime support, and port support. Focus on the first 2, long-haul, is defined as the navigation between Brazilian and foreign ports, whereas short-sea shipping is the maritime navigation with Brazilian ports. The relevant infrastructure regarding this sector is coastal strip, the inland waterways, and port maritime and fluvial. Most of the maritime ports are located with urban perimeters, which limits the possibility of expansion to ease the connection with other transport modes, creating bottlenecks. Concerning the intermodal issues, let's consider this map, part of a study made by National Transport Confederation. This study is based on a prediction of the transport demand for the next 10 years and proposed 9 main transport axes to be developed as seen in the picture. The plan proposed infrastructure works to be undertaken in order to achieve this objective. As you can see here, the purple line concerns short-sea shipping. Considering the long-haul and short-sea shipping navigation, the first represents roughly 75% of both. Therefore, keeping in mind the European concept of intermodal corridors, it is relevant to consider the connections between long-haul and short-sea shipping. So far, we have taken note of Brazil needs an intermodal approach of its transport system. The good news is, like we saw, the first step of WiderMoS are being taken. Now, should we consider the expansion of WiderMoS to Brazil? Let's take a look at the functioning of the customs and ports procedures, and later, let's take a sneak peek to some good practices in Brazil. The Brazilian government controls its foreign trade transition through an integrated computerized system known as SIXCOMEX. Its aim is to inform different operators, such as exporters, importers, transporters, terminal operators, and others, about access to services and the governmental system, and also the legislation concerning external commerce. The SIXCOMEX platform is the first step of a big governmental reform in the operation of foreign trade called Portal Único de Comércio Exterior Brasileiro, that will be implemented with a single window approach for custom procedures, as you can see from the picture. The single window for foreign trade will involve the entities in charge of prior authorization, such as police, the port's logistic, and the entities with inspection responsibilities at the ports. Now let's take a look at some best practices that are being undertaken in Brazil. Linha Azul, blue line. Linha Azul is a custom procedure that benefits the companies that on a voluntary basis are willing to comply with the legislation of foreign trade. They can subscribe to Linha Azul and have their control operations eased. Linha Azul was created by the Brazilian Federal Revenue Office to allow a better estimate for the registration of goods and reduction of custom logistic costs. Projeto Porto Sem Papel. This project aims to streamline the bureaucratic process on Brazil ports by centralizing the emission of electronic permissions from port authorities. The project is now under implementation. However, according to the National Transport Confederation of Maritime Transport, port authorities keep asking for the physical documentation. Another example is Canal Azul. Canal Azul is a pilot project for the modernization and streamlining of the beef export process between the Brazilian Minister of Agriculture and the Polytechnic Institute of University of São Paulo and Association of Brazilian Beef Exporters. This project was tested by 10 companies by implementing an electronic seal on each transport unit that assures the integrity of the product transported and transmits the information to custom control. This solution expedites the transfer of information from the producer, accelerating the custom clearance procedure. Further stages of this project should include other products, increasing its scope to a national multi-sector level. So far, we have seen the issues related to transport system in Brazil, and several bottlenecks concerning intermodality were identified. We also saw that there are some platforms being developed to streamline custom clearance. Aren't those the perfect conditions for the implementation, for example, of a pilot project of an IT corridor management platform? Well, what I want to say is that it looks like there is a space for WiderMoS in Brazil, or WiderMoS. Taking into consideration the WiderMoS project in Europe and the need for WiderMoS in Brazil, let's take a look at the possibility to create a corridor from the EU to Brazil. I'll focus on the example of fresh food corridor between Europe and Brazil. Is there a market? Is there funding? In terms of export, Brazil exports mostly raw materials and non-durable consumer goods. Inside the non-durable consumer goods, the food products take a big share, as we can see from the top graph. In total, non-durable food products represent 10% of national exports in 2014, expressing the importance of non-durable food products in the national export framework. Regarding the agro-food market, Europe is the #1 importer in the world, and Brazil is the 3rd biggest exporter worldwide. So there is a market for fresh food from Brazil to Europe. Now, is there also funding? As of 2014, direct EU funding for bilateral cooperation with Brazil was extinguished, but the cooperation remains through the EU-Brazil sector dialogues and through programs of the European Commission, such as Horizon 2020, Erasmus+, or CEF-T. There is some margin for collaboration with third countries pending on natural agreements. Also, Horizon 2020 includes an agreement on scientific and technology cooperation between the EU and Brazil. In fact, the first biannual work program of the Horizon 2020, there were 6 supported topics targeted at Brazil, and more are expected for following work programs. On the Brazilian side, there are also several programs to which one can apply to get funding. Just name 3 hypotheses: Portal Inovação, Innovate Cred, and Pro Engenharia. So Brazil needs to improve its intermodal system with new logistic chains and interfaces between different types of transport, and it could benefit from the EU experiences. There is much potential from an EU-Brazil corridor that furthermore develops trade and political relations, especially regarding fresh food trade. And I hope you have found this information useful and take Brazil into account as a promising destiny for an expansion of the impact and partnership leveraged by WiderMoS. So, obrigada. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much, Paula. We bid you farewell and wish you a very good trip. Our next speaker would be Alessandro COLOMBARA. Alessandro is the Secretary General of the Chamber of Commerce, Italian, Brazilian, the Northeast region. And he is coming here to speak about the trade opportunities for Brazilian ports within the Northeast region. Are you going to be sitting there and speaking? And he's going to speak in Italian, so if you need to have one of these, go and grab it. So please, Alessandro, go on.
Buongiorno a tutti, io rappresento la Camera di Commercio del Nord-Est. Noi facciamo parte di una rete di camere, siamo praticamente presenti nei 5 continenti e siamo 80 camere oggi che sono attive nel lavoro fra imprese dei loro paesi e rappresentano una comunità di business dei loro paesi con l'Italia. Noi non faremo un intervento tecnico e specializzato come quelli bellissimi che mi hanno preceduto, ma cercheremo di guardare piuttosto alla regione nord-est del Brasile. La signora MESQUITA ha parlato molto bene, ha fatto veramente un'analisi delle possibilità di infrastrutture del paese, mentre noi andremo più sul locale, andremo più sull'area del nord-est, che è un'area nuova e che secondo noi e secondo tanti ha una grande possibilità di sviluppo. Ecco, dunque, la nostra presentazione infatti è intitolata proprio così, cioè i porti del nord-est che guardano verso nuovi orizzonti, perché sono cambiate anche un po' le condizioni per cui si identifica oggi nel nord-est un'area promettente e in sicura crescita. Il nord-est infatti è oggi l'area che più cresce in Brasile. Negli ultimi 10 anni ha sviluppato crescite di prodotto interno lordo superiori al doppio della media nazionale. Anche quest'anno, che credo tutti sappiano che il Brasile non attraversa un periodo economico interessante, quest'anno il nord-est comunque non rappresenta gravi perdite. Da cosa è dovuta questa crescita economica negli ultimi 10 anni? È dovuta a spostamenti e ad azioni del governo localizzate nell'area che hanno permesso una grande crescita della classe media. La crescita della classe media ha richiamato servizi, ha richiamato prodotti. Oggi non c'è più un'impresa che non sia presente nel nord-est, nelle principali capitali, Recife, Fortaleza, Salvador, perché è importantissimo, c'è una grande richiesta di prodotti, per cui anche i nostri porti hanno dovuto aumentare il loro potenziale in termini soprattutto di merci in container. Io mi scuso se eventualmente i miei termini non sono estremamente specifici e tecnici, come ho detto prima noi siamo operatori che cercano la possibilità e propongono alle imprese delle opportunità e stiamo infatti presentando qui le opportunità del nord-est del Brasile. Tra le imprese che si sono stabilite nel nord-est possiamo citare senz'altro la Fiat, il gruppo FCA come oggi è chiamato. È un'impresa che oggi dispone in Pernambuco, in uno degli stati più importanti industrialmente del Brasile, dispone del più grande stabilimento di produzione di autoveicoli esistente nell'America meridionale. Questo ha richiamato una filiera, come potete immaginare, che ha letteralmente modificato l'economia dello Stato e degli Stati vicini. Ecco, più in dettaglio io ho voluto evidenziare in rosso i porti della regione nord-est settentrionale, perché i differenziali che cito nella slide sono differenziali presenti quasi solo in questi porti, ossia la posizione settentrionale che gli permette di essere molto più vicini all'Europa e agli Stati Uniti. Si parla di differenze fra Rio de Janeiro e Santos, che sono i porti più importanti del sud. Si parla di differenze di 2-3 giorni di navigazione, quindi un'economia interessante, che oltretutto li aggancia anche a un fattore di possibile utilizzo del canale di Panama, nella possibilità di utilizzare l'area caraibica, di cui questi porti sono già per tradizione collegati, e quindi l'accesso al canale di Panama più facilitato. La condizione geografica locale, come ho voluto chiamarla, è la possibilità di questi porti di avere uno spazio veramente enorme a disposizione, quindi in teoria se vogliamo sviluppare qualcosa lo possiamo fare senza problemi. Oltretutto gli spazi del retroporto, gli spazi diciamo delle zone geografiche circostanti sono quasi tutti in regime in cui lo Stato ha riconosciuto il valore come produttivo, industriale, quindi non ci sono problemi per collocare grossi impianti, come vedremo anche nelle foto successive. Questo fa in modo che la crescita economica regionale attivi i nostri porti e li faccia aumentare, come io non ho messo qua dei numeri, ma in costante ascesa, soprattutto per SEM e SUAPE. Del canale di Panama abbiamo visto che è la stessa regione geografica che collega i nostri porti al flusso. Come ben ha evidenziato anche la signora Mesquita prima, le nostre ferrovie collegano facilmente i porti del nord-est, sono principalmente la Transnordestina e la ferrovia nord-sud. Sono in costruzione, termineranno probabilmente nel 2016-2017. Il governo brasiliano ha posto enfasi sulla costruzione, su questi assi macro logistici interni, come è stato detto prima. Anche le linee di navigazione costiere sono in aumento. Ecco gli impianti, per esempio, faccio vedere solo le foto rapidamente perché purtroppo il tempo è poco. Gli impianti costruiti, questa è la siderurgica di PSM, il più grosso impianto in costruzione oggi nel mondo occidentale di questo tipo, ovviamente di siderurgica. Questo è stato possibile solo grazie al fatto che il porto di PSM dispone di queste possibilità e si integra perfettamente nel contesto industriale. I porti del Brasile possono diventare e potranno diventare degli hub? Sì, sicuramente, probabilmente velocizzando anche le operazioni di dogana, facendo diventare le tariffe più adeguate, ma c'è questa possibilità anche in vista del fatto che il governo brasiliano, dopo la firma del Trattato Transpacifico, ha praticamente avviato le procedure per poter richiedere l'annessione al gruppo commerciale. Questo spinto da interessi ovviamente degli industriali che vedono in questo un grosso sviluppo e del trade dell'agricoltura, diciamo dei commodities agricoli. Quindi potrà sicuramente inserirsi nell'espansione, utilizzando l'espansione del canale di Panama e inserirsi in questi flussi. Concludo dicendo che è ancora attiva la possibilità che il blocco economico del Mercosur possa partecipare a qualche accordo commerciale con l'Unione Europea, di cui si continua a discutere, è ancora attiva e vediamo se sarà possibile farli tutti e due. Comunque sia, anche in questo caso i porti del nord-est avranno, per la loro vicinanza geografica, avranno facilità di operazione. Io, visto che ho finito il tempo, vi ringrazio, scusate se il mio intervento era in italiano, lascio il mio indirizzo email per qualsiasi informazione, anche per eventualmente voler visitare le zone e sincerarsi personalmente. Grazie a tutti, grazie all'organizzatore dell'evento, arrivederci.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. I know we are all the time is very short. I know there's a lot to say, but I'd like to introduce the last, but certainly not the least, of our speakers, Mr. Dov Gerber. He's from Israel. He's a member of the Israel Export Institute Board of Directors, Israel Maritime Port Community, and a number of other boards. And Dov is going to speak about the Middle East contribution to the European community's motorways of the sea through the Fresh Food Corridor project, and where we are going to combine the Israeli technology with the Palestinian and Jordanian goods, and hopefully a very good project. Please go ahead.
Dear friends, since you're waiting for lunch, I will speak about food, and I'll do it very quick. Our project is a real-life project. We actually starting these days this project with the MoS program, and we're having partners in Israel, in Jordan, in Palestine, in Egypt, which is in our region, and we have a lot of partners in Europe with 4 ports, which are La Spezia, Port of Koper, Port of Venice, and Port of Marseille. As you can see from the map here, the idea is to bring and to send fresh food from our region to this area that I'm showing here, and using for that only trains and railroads, not using trucks at all. What we're actually going to bring is tomatoes and cucumbers from the Gaza Strip and from Palestine. We're going to bring avocado, peppers, and other products from Israel, and from Jordan, they're going to bring dates and green paper. Also, the Alexandria port and Egypt participating in this project, and in the future, I hope they will be able to bring some grapes and herbs and other products that are being produced in Egypt. The idea is to send, not only to send fresh food from here to Europe, from here I mean from the Middle East to Europe, but also to find a way to send fresh food from Europe back to our region, which is done today in several ways, but if we will be able to create this facilities on the train and on the reefer containers, it will make a big difference, and there will be a lot of products that are not being shipped today to our region. It will make them, it will make it possible, and that's what we are actually planning and trying to create. I will just read to you a few things about the different contribution of the partners here. And in the FFC project, we're actually using the best of each partner of this equation. Jordan and the Palestine's growers and farmers supply their products and capabilities. Israel brings its technology and know-how. Your smartphone, your GPS, your Wi-Fi connections, your computer's application, all those features is one thing in common. They got one or more devices or technology know-how coming from the burning heads and the brains of the Israeli high-tech industry people and companies. As many of you already know, Israel's main growth and economics pillar has been for the last 25 years the high-tech industry, which employs thousands, if not more, of young and talented engineers, programmers, and entrepreneurs. They are coming from all around the nation and sometimes even from other countries. The reason for being so strong and so innovating country coming from two reasons. The first one is the special geopolitical situation in which Israel finds itself for more than 50 years, and especially in the last 5 years when tremendous changes influence our region and also the European continent. The special, isolated, and stress situation brings not only pressure and tough life, but also brings the urge and the need to be better and stronger. The second reason coming from the need to improve life in any area it is possible to do so, not only for the Israeli live in Israel, but also for those nations which are close to us, not only geographically, but also culture-wise. Europe is our first choice. We are doing our best for a few years with the great assistance of many friends who are sitting here today to bring and connect our region ability to the benefit of the European countries, mainly but not only in the MoS project. And this has a lot to do with the great vision and broad perspective that people like Jose and others brings into the day-by-day agenda. High-tech is not magic. It is hard work, it is imagination, and it is necessity. The necessity to bring and export fresh food product from our region to the table of the European people and doing it quicker, cheaper, and greener lead us to develop the fresh food corridor with the European ports of Venice, La Spezia, Koper, and Marseille. And also with 3 leading rail companies from Italy, Slovenia, and France. The necessity to create a mirror image of the corridor management platform, which been created by the various MoS and 10T projects, lead us to use the Israeli technology know-how for building high-perform tools which allow transportation, cargo maneuvers, and logistic ways to be much easier and more fluent between neighborhood countries to Europe and from Europe back to the neighborhood countries. The FFC project, the corridor which we are building and trying and start working with it, will supply not only fresh food and other products to Europe, but in the same time enable Palestinians and Jordanian farmers, logistic companies and exporters to grow and export items and products which they could not do so far because of time and bureaucracy barriers. Fresh herbs, fresh dates, papers, special small tomatoes, flowers, and other products will get a fair chance now to reach to the European market and supermarkets, since it will be done quicker and safer through this logistic corridor, the FFC. Not only that, now because we have the technology and the logistic capability, we can bring to our region and behind products which need to be shipped in a cooling condition all the way from Europe back to the Middle East, using the ports in our region like Alexandria, Haifa, and others. Think about it. Enable the right logistic and logic way to transfer goods, make here a chain of reaction. Families will be able to provide food to their children in the Middle East because they will be able to make an earning. Companies dealing with cargo or transportation will have fair volume and better business. Ports and rail will be offering their excellent services in better and different ways until today. Europe will have less trucks on the roads, and the European citizen will have fresh food on the table for cheaper prices and better quality. It's a four-time win-win situation, so we should win. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the members of this panel for their fantastic contribution to this session. But before I let you go, I just want to say that when I came to La Spezia a couple of days ago, I had bought a brand new sunglasses, and I thought to use it in Copenhagen, I have to wait until June. So I brought it here to use it here, and I couldn't. I'm not going to go back without using it. So ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the lunch.